Hello, my name's Richard. This is Over and Over and Over Again, and this is the Arsenal versus Nottingham Forest match preview. Hello, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we are going to look ahead to Sunday's big game, Arsenal against Nottingham Forest here at the Emirates Stadium. We're going to look at the past meetings between the sides. We'll look at the current form. We're going to look at the potential lineups. We're going to give a score prediction, and we're also going to look at one of the players who's played for both of these famous clubs. So all that's coming up the other side of this. So in history then, Arsenal and Nottingham Forest have met on 101 occasions. Arsenal have won almost half of those games with 51 victories. There's been 22 draws, and Nottingham Forest have won 28. The very first meeting between the sides was in October 1904, a very long time ago. That was at the Manor Ground when Arsenal was still in Plumstead, and Nottingham Forest won that game 3-0. Now, there was one really significant meeting between the sides in the early years. That was in April 1915. Arsenal beat Nottingham Forest 7-0 at Highbury. It actually turned out to be the very last game Arsenal have ever played outside of the top flight. So a really significant match that proved to be. Obviously, in recent years, and most of the meetings have come in the cup competitions as Forest have been outside of the Premier League. They did beat us twice in the FA Cup in recent years. They won 4-2 at the City Ground in 2018. And then, of course, back in January, we need no reminding of that game when we lost 1-0 in the third round. Very disappointing performance that was from Arsenal. We have enjoyed two victories in the League Cup as well in recent years. In 2016, we won 4-0 at the City Ground. Granit Xhaka was amongst the goals on that particular occasion. And, of course, in 2019, Nottingham Forest's only visit to the Emirates did come in the League Cup. We won 5-0. Gabriel Martinelli scored twice on that particular occasion. So against Nottingham Forest, we are unbeaten in the last 11 home meetings with this opposition. That goes back to March 1989 when Nottingham Forest did win 3-1 at Highbury, but we went on to win the league a couple of months later, so we didn't mind that one too much. It's been 11 games since then we've played at home without losing. We've won 6 of those games, and there has been 5 draws. In the league, we've only lost 2 of the last 16 meetings with Nottingham Forest, and we've won 9 of those games. Now, the very last league meeting between the sides at Arsenal was in August 1998. That was at Highbury, of course. We were defending champions. It was the first game of the season played on a Monday night. And we won that game by 2-1. It was Emmanuel Petit and Mark Overmars with our goals on that particular night. And, of course, it wasn't a great season for Nottingham Forest, was it? They suffered relegation. And we, of course, missed out on retaining the title from Manchester United by 1 point, didn't we? So that was our last league meeting then with Nottingham Forest. We look forward to the next one on Sunday. So in terms of current form then, Nottingham Forest coming to the back of this game on that 1-0 victory over Liverpool last weekend. A fantastic performance it was from them. And actually that's their second clean sheet in a row because they drew 0-0 at Brighton the week before. But they have only won 2 games this season, and they do arrive at the Emirates still bottom of the league, surprisingly enough, despite that recent upturn in results and performances. So we know it is going to be a very difficult game. For us, then, of course, as we know, we sit 2 points clear at the top of the Premier League. But we want to bounce back from that disappointing draw at Southampton last week. We started to look a little bit tired, aren't we? But our form at home has been great. We've won every single game in both the Premier League and the Europa League. And if we bring that form into this game, hopefully we can get the 3 points. So there has been several players that have played for both these two clubs over the years. Of course, Viv Anderson springs to mind, doesn't he, who was a great player for both clubs, a right back, England's first black international player as well. There's been others as well. Lee Chapman, of course, had brief spells at both clubs, more successful at Nottingham Forest, of course he was. Others as well include Jermaine Pennant and, of course, Kevin Campbell as well, who really is held in great esteem at both clubs. But the player I'm going to feature today is one of my favourite ever Arsenal players, Tony Woodcock. Now, Woodcock was born on the 6th of December 1955 in Eastwood in Nottinghamshire, and he did join Nottingham Forest through their youth academy, signed his first professional contract in 1974. Now, he did go out on loan to both Lincoln and Doncaster Rovers before establishing himself as a first-team player in 1976, of course, under Brian Clough. In his first season, he helped Forest get promotion to Division 1. And in their first season back, they not only won the Division 1 title, they also won the League Cup. Of course, Tony Woodcock's first 2 trophies. The following season, they retained the League Cup. Woodcock scored in the final, actually, against Southampton in a game they won 3-2. And they also, of course, won the European Cup that year as well. But it was soon after that European success that Tony moved to Germany to play for Cologne. He went for £600,000, which at the time was a lot of money. He spent 3 seasons in Germany with Cologne and he scored 28 goals in 81 appearances. Then after the 1982 World Cup in Spain, Woodcock decided to return to England and he signed for Arsenal for £500,000 that summer. Now, although it wasn't a great time on the pitch for Arsenal, we didn't have any success at all. Woodcock proved to be a really, really good player for us. He was top scorer in his first 3 seasons. And in 1983, he equalled the post-war goal scoring record when he scored 5 goals for Arsenal in a match away at Aston Villa. We won that game 6-2. On the same day, oddly enough, Ian Rush also scored 5 goals for Liverpool against Luton. Woodcock did suffer a serious injury in March 1985. And although he did come back and stayed at the club for another 18 months, he was never quite the same player again. And when George Graham took over in 1986, Woodcock was one of the first players to leave. He went back to Germany, back to his old club Cologne, where he played another 49 games, 11 goals, before ending his career at Fortuna Cologne in 1990. He did, of course, play for England on 42 occasions, scored 16 goals, did play in the 1982 World Cup. He was left out of the 86 squad for Mexico, and he retired from international football soon after that. So that is one of the players who played for both Arsenal and Nottingham Forest, Tony Woodcock. So what do we think the lineups will be then for this game? Well, the Nottingham Forest side that beat Liverpool last week was like this. They had Dean Henderson in goal. Their back four was Cook, Williams, McKenna and Aurier. In midfield, they had Konate, Yates and Freuler. And their front three was Lingard, Awoniyi and Gibbs-White. I'm not expecting too many changes from that for this game, but they do have strength in depth, don't they? All those players they bought in the summer. They've got some very good players, actually, that can't get a game from. Joe Worrell, of course, was their captain last season. He's in their squad. Willy Bolly as well. Oriel Mangala, big name from the Premier League. Their top scorer last season, Brendan Johnson as well, could feature. And, of course, Emmanuel Dennis, who had such a good season for Watford last year. He is also not a Forest player now. He may well feature in this game, but I'm not expecting too many changes from their starting 11 from the side, of course, that won last week. For us, our Premier League 11 seems to pick itself almost at the moment, doesn't it? I'm not expecting too many changes this week. Ramsdale, obviously, in goal. I think Ben White will continue at right back. Saliba and Gabriel. And I think Kieran Tierney may well come in at left back. Tomiyasu struggled there, hasn't he, in the last couple of games? And, of course, Zinchenko is still not fit. In midfield, it'll be Partey and Xhaka, of course, as always. Martin Odegaard, the captain, will be in number 10. And in the front three, you'd imagine, will be Saka, Martinelli and Gabriel Jesus. So that's the side I'm expecting from this game. It's a really strong Arsenal team, isn't it? Let's hope it's strong enough to win this game. So the prediction and what we're thinking, we're going to start favourites, of course, top versus bottom. Our home form, of course, has been fantastic this season, hasn't it? We've won every single game at the Emirates in the league and in the Europa League. And we're going to start massive favourites, of course. But Forest have had a pick up in form, haven't they? I say 2 clean sheets in a row. They're certainly going to be difficult to break down. Goalkeeper Dean Henderson is in good form. And their goals seem to have dried up, don't they, in the last couple of weeks. So I think it's going to be a tough game for Arsenal. Certainly not going to be an easy victory. And I think we're going to have to work really hard for it. I think we're going to have to start well. I think we need to get the first goal and hopefully we can build on that. But it's certainly not going to be an easy game. I think Nottingham Forest will make it very tough for us. But I do think we will come out on top. I'm predicting a final score of Arsenal 3, Nottingham Forest 1. I do think Forest will score, as we tend to concede a goal at home in the league, certainly. But I think we'll have enough to come out on top, get those 3 points and go into November top of the league. So that is the Arsenal versus Nottingham Forest match preview. If you have enjoyed this video, please give it a like. Please check out some of the other stuff that we do on the channel and consider subscribing. We do, of course, cover the Arsenal men's team, but also the Arsenal women as well. Coming up, we have got the 2 watch-alongs on Sunday. Of course, this game against Nottingham Forest kicks off at 2 o'clock. We'll be live about 1:45 with the build-up, your team news, and then full match commentary. And then at 6:30, we'll be back for the Arsenal women. They're at home to West Ham. Can both sides still be top of the league at the end of this weekend? Let's certainly hope so. So we'll be here to bring you all the coverage of those 2 games. So please join us for that if you like the sound of it. We will see you very, very soon. My name is Richard. And as always, come on, you Gunners.